Governor Ron DeSantis asked the Florida legislature to come back into session. In fact, he came on my radio program a week or so ago to talk about it. He wanted the Florida legislature to come into special session to pass an illegal immigration bill. Essentially, he wanted to go on and approve funding and measures by which to process illegal immigrants in Florida for the Trump administration. The Republican leadership of the legislature declined, so we called a special session anyway. Florida has a Republican supermajority in the legislature. But it's not a conservative legislature, it's just a Republican legislature. And the Senate Republicans and the House leadership have conspired to redo what Ron DeSantis wanted, and they're doing it to protect illegal aliens. And this is the thing you must understand. They're playing Republican voters for fools in the Florida legislature. This is what happens in other places. So let me just back up and give you a relatable example. Many of you are familiar with Common Core. Common Core was done by the Fortune 500 in collaboration with the government to essentially extinguish the entrepreneurial mindset of American kids and make them be good automatons for the Fortune 500, doing their little worker bee work every day without ever thinking of innovating. The superficial goal of Common Core got a lot of people encouraged by it, that families in this country are mobile, particularly military families. They used military families as their example. And they said, what if a kid moves from the state of Oregon to the state of Georgia in 8th grade? Well, we need them to have comparable standards. Even though the states handle education, we need the states to agree to comparable standards so that the kid who moves from Oregon to Georgia in 8th grade gets to Georgia in 8th grade and is doing basically the same stuff so they don't fall behind. It's the number one reason kids in this country fall behind, they claimed. So we need a Common Core, Well, Common Core turned out to be garbage. And there are schools that use it. And you know what they're doing now is they're changing the name. Like, for example, there are some schools now that they don't use Common Core math. They use Singapore math. That's right, Singapore math. By the way, do you know Singapore has more fluoride in their water than we do in this country? Are their kids dumber than ours? No. We're branding Common Core math Singapore math because they think Americans are stupid from the fluoride, not Singaporeans. So they'll just change the name of Common Core to Singapore. Hey, it rhymes, and they'll never know it's Common Core. I think I just blew out my microphone on that. Y'all, Common Core is bad. Common Core is bad because in addition to it deciding that the academics know how to do math better than the parents, it separates the parents from the kids in education. So the parents can no longer help the kids in education. In fact, they treat real math as pejorative. They call it grandma math. And who wants to do grandma's math when you can do Singapore math? It just rolls off the tongue. It's so sexy for the first grader. And parents no longer can do the homework with their kids. They're left to the teachers to indoctrinate the kids. The next thing you know, you've got a kid who can do Singapore math and pick different pronouns. Or there's the Common Core reading. Common Core reading, they change it to accelerated reading program. The accelerated reading program is Common Core. And essentially, your kids are encouraged to read a bunch of grade level books, and they get penalized. And this is what they don't tell you. It's from our own real world experience with our kids. Your kids get penalized if they read books that are bigger, denser books. Well, it takes them more time to read those books, so they don't get as many accelerated reader program points. Therefore, they're discouraged from reading the big books and just read on the grade level. And what is the result of all this? Between lockdowns and Common Core and everything else, American kids are dumber now than they've ever been before. Common Core, the teaching establishment thought they had some new fad they could do, and they do this all the time. They went from phonics to whole word. They went from whole word to Common Core, and now people are starting to abandon it, not just changing the name. But part of what they did is they changed the name, and they assumed that you would be too stupid to understand it. And that gets me back to Florida and the Florida legislature. The Florida Republicans, the leadership of the Senate and the House, put together an anti-illegal immigration package. And part of the terms of the anti-illegal immigration package require that the agriculture commissioner be in charge of the program. Why would they put the ag commissioner in charge? This is like putting the plantation manager in charge back before the Civil War. Who's out there making sure the illegals are there picking the crops? The ag commissioner. And who controls the ag commissioner? The donors from the sugar corporations who want their sugar cane harvested and the orange groves. And then they slipped in language that said ICE, the Federal Immigration and Customs Enforcement, would have to communicate with the ag commissioner's office. They couldn't communicate with local law enforcement or even the governor. They could only communicate with the ag commissioner's staff. So they're telling you all that this legislation in Florida is about illegal immigrants, and it's taking on illegal immigrants, and it's going to clean up the mess of illegal immigrants. But in reality, it's to protect the farms and their supply of illegal aliens. It's to protect the illegal aliens from deportation. It's to deprive Ron DeSantis of what he wanted, actual meaningful legislation to deport illegal aliens from Florida and help Donald Trump. This is Governor Ron DeSantis speaking in Florida a short time ago.
I think it's offensive that some of the leadership has suggested that members calling their offices or expressing displeasure, that somehow that's bullying representatives. No, you work for the people. They have every right to tell you what they think. They have every right to hold you accountable for your actions. And if you're doing things that have betrayed their trust, they can sock it to you and let you know that that's what's going on. So this idea that you can do whatever the hell you want and that people have no voice in this, that is absurd. You have every right to be involved in these debates and tell your representatives. And what I found is the beauty of all this, when you get elected to things, if you just do what you told people you would do, it all works out very well.
That's Ron DeSantis. He's responding to House Speaker Daniel Perez, who in the state capitol said this.
Bill will work. This bill will be the game changer. Of course, you're going to have your handful of politicians, a small group of activists, and a lot of paid bots on social media trying to gaslight you. But we know that truth matters. And simply saying that something is terrible over and over doesn't actually make it true.
That's House Speaker Daniel Perez in Florida. He's literally claiming that the Florida residents and Florida citizens who are calling their state legislators, asking them to support Ron DeSantis' legislation, are paid bots. It's disrespectful to the people of Florida. There's a difference between a conservative and a Republican, and this fight in Florida is showing it. Daniel Perez is lying. The Speaker of the House is lying to his members, claiming that paid bots on social media are trying to gaslight you. That's not true at all. It is the citizens of the state of Florida who are angry with the state legislature. Ron DeSantis prepared a very good proposal to deport the massive wave of illegal immigrants in Florida who are soaking up social resources at taxpayer expense. But the Speaker of the House and the Senate President in Florida are conspiring with the agriculture industry to protect illegal immigrants. They're conspiring. They're no better than the idiot on CNN who wondered, where are they going to come to pick my blueberries? I need my cotton picked. DeSantis is picking this fight. He's calling them out. Donald Trump should probably speak up on this. He sided with DeSantis on this special session. He told the Florida legislature to pass DeSantis' law. He hadn't really spoken up since, but needs to speak up. By the way, the perfect opportunity comes in 15 minutes. In 15 minutes, Donald Trump will sign the Laken Riley Act into law. it would be the perfect moment for Donald Trump to tell the Florida legislature to stand with Ron DeSantis on this immigration legislation. DeSantis, by the way, is threatening to veto the immigration bill that is coming out of the legislature, in large part because it's a terrible piece of legislation that would actually make the illegal immigration situation in Florida even worse than it is. There's no dispute that illegal immigration in Florida is overwhelming the social services in Florida right now. There's no dispute on that at all. But the House and the Senate leadership want to protect the ag industry, which is telling them they need the slave labor from illegal immigrants, and so they're doing that. It's a remarkable fight. DeSantis is in the right. By the way, if you're a Florida resident, you're listening on one of my many affiliates in Florida, you should call your state legislator. In fact, if you text Army to 33777. In fact, it's been a while since I've done this, so I'm going to do this for you in real time. The number is 33777. The text word is Army. If you do this, you're going to get a link back from me. And when that link comes back to you, you text the word Army to 33777. It may take you a minute to get it back, but you're going to get a link back to erickerickson.quorum.us. When you do that, up at the top, if you've got your name and information in, you'll see a box that says My Officials. Once you've put in your first name, your last name, and your address, and it recognizes that you're from Florida, what it's going to do is it's going to show you up at the very top, it'll show My Officials. And you click that, and it's going to show you who your state representative is and who your state senator is. And you can click on either one of them, and it's going to show you their phone number. It's going to show you their Twitter. It's going to show you their Facebook. It's going to show you how to get in touch with them. So if you text the word Army to 33777, you'll get this. It may take you a minute because if all of you do it at once, it's going to overwhelm the system and it's going to slow down, but you'll get that link back. And that link will come to you, and you click on the My Officials tab, and it's going to show you who your state senator is and who your state representative is in Florida. It's going to give you their phone numbers, and you can call them and tell them you're with Ron DeSantis on this. Take action to fight against illegal immigration in Florida. By the way, the rest of you as well, just so you know, if you text Army to 33777, by the way, I did it when I did it on air a minute ago. It just got the link back. It takes a little bit if everybody's overwhelmed with the system. But it's going to work for everybody anywhere in the nation. If you text Army to 33777, you're going to get this link back. Put in your name, address, and email, and then you're going to see a My Officials tab. And it's going to show you who your senator is, your congressman, your governor, your state senator, your state representative, all the way down to your local government. It's going to give you all of their points of contact. It's going to give you their phone numbers and all their social media handles, and you can call them whenever you need to. It is your portal. I pay for it at my expense for you, but particularly for those of you in Florida, if you text Army to 33777, click on the My Officials tab, follow the link, put in your info, click on My Officials. You can find your state senator, your state representative. You call them, and you tell them you're not a bot. You're a constituent, and you always need to make sure you say, I am a constituent, and I'm with Ron DeSantis. And they can't ignore you because you're one of their voters.